Live from the Motor City, all the way to the Volunteer State. It's time for the Reckless Speculation Podcast, where we recklessly speculate the latest news in the world of sports. From college football to NASCAR, we've got you covered. And don't forget to stick around for the world-famous Bet Your Nuts, where we will give you your best bets to make the most money. Now sit back, grab your favorite drink of choice, and join Robbie Davis, Raj Mehta, Brandon Chain, and Tom Sloan. It's showtime.
What's happening, everyone? I'm going to start out the show with a bad word. Well, F, man. Couldn't we show a picture of the Coliseum sold out with Reggie Bush was there or something? It looks as sad as it does compared to the Big Ten and SEC stadiums. But good afternoon, evening, morning, whenever you're watching or listening. My name is Raj, and we are the Reckless Speculation Crew podcast. That all sounded lame. You got to bear with me. I'm not 100% here. I'm old, and I effed up my back and hamstrings, and that's what old people do because they do it like sneezing. But that's awesome. But enough about me. I want to introduce our team, if you will. Jeez, I'm saying some cheesy shit. Let me start first with the OG Nashville elitist himself, Mr. Brandon Chain.
What's going on, man? That's a hell of an introduction there. Love it.
Yeah, you tell me right now, man. I'm not even drinking alcohol. I'm having sour apple ghost, and even my 10-year-old's like, that stuff's poison. I'm like, fuck. Like, just trying to stay awake. Not a lot of sleep lately. Getting old sucks. Next, Detroit's finest, a guy who will always have his Pistons to bring the state of Michigan back down to earth, at least since 2004, Mr. Tom Sloan.
Oh, boy. Yeah, and I got a little something to say about those boys in the red, white, and blue. Not too happy with the direction they're going, but yeah. But hopefully we can give everybody a reprieve from what's really happening in the world with this debate going on. Come watch us at Reckless Speculation. You'll thank me later.
And that was really not a smart move to do that before I introduce our final panelist. But and bringing him up as an attorney, it reminds me that I failed to roadmap our show today. Basically, we're going to be talking about the Live Tour and Brandon's experience there in Nashville, which is dope. The Tennessee Volunteers, I believe first time ever, baseball national champions. And then, of course, some football, the NBA draft, which is going to be the heart of the show. And it just looks like with all this stuff going on, everything's coming up. Robbie Davis, what's up?
Hey, thanks for having me. Hey, Tom mentioned a debate. You know what's not up for debate? Who's the best college baseball team in the country? Hey, a championship, finally.
Hey, you had Morgan Wall in there,
comes
Peyton Manning. Yeah, you were on center stage the same night that the Florida Panthers win their first.
Allison went to the parade without me. I couldn't go. I had work responsibilities, but Knoxville showed up.
They had I didn't know they had a parade for baseball national champs. I mean, well, USC only has 12 titles, but
hey, we Knoxville had the next day. I was thinking it was gonna be a couple. They were ready for that. They were like, turn around, let's go.
I guess not a lot else going on, but USC is like the Boston Celtics. Basically, coincidence. I can't even fucking think right now, but they won 10 in a row back in the day, and since then they've done shit. But anyways, that's awesome. I didn't know they did that. I'm sure a lot of people showed up. First, like I said, Chain, man, the Live Tour, was it like harems and gold chains and like a typical like Dubai experience, or
no, dude, it was world-class golf. It's what you expect just if you go to a PGA event, but it was more fun. I was talking a little bit to Tom pre-show for just the new coming golfer golf fan, basically. If you're starting to get a little excited about, Bryson or blah, 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 he just won the US Open, all that. Come to a live event. That was fun. I mean, there's music playing the whole time. There's interaction with the crowd. And then great golf on top of that. So it's quite the experience. Got to meet a few of the guys, and that was really cool. Bryson being one of them, super humble guy. Everyone was cheering the people's champ, the whole time when he was out there. And it was just cool. And he was interacting with fans. He took probably 15, 20 minutes between his putting warm up on Friday, the first day, and walking over to hit balls, signing little kids' autographs. Like, just sat there the whole time. They roped off the whole thing. So just super interactive. And obviously he's the face of Live now, especially after winning the US Open. But it was cool to see them also play a course that I play a lot and see where they hit it and where they struggle or don't struggle. They didn't struggle too much, but it was cool.
Give me an example of that. Is there a particular hole or something off, just something where you're like, oh shit, I should have done that moment?
Well, I'll tell you a negative example, actually. On 15, the par 3, that was the birdie shack, like the party hole. They had this huge, like, waste management stadium surrounding, and it was a 130-yard shot. And that's like playing from the white tees, typically.
Kobe, shoot it.
And a lot of them struggled with it, surprisingly. There were not a lot of birdies there, and they were trying to get a hole-in-one there. Obviously, they're giving them 130 yards. It could have been 205 from the back tees, but it was like 130. So big surprise there. But no, these guys are pros. They're like Tyrrell Hatton. He played out of his mind. He was chipping in balls left and right. But then, Bryson, they actually shortened the course too a little bit, which was
that's what I was going to ask.
surprising.
You made it sound like the 15th wasn't traditionally 130, and obviously there's a grandstand now, and
it wasn't.
And real quick, we interrupt just because. Could you talk more about Live? And for those that don't know, is it designed to be more of a spectacle, more of an event, quasi entertainment in addition?
Yeah, it's the WWE of golf. It's exactly what it is. It's a entertainment factor. They want the fans involved. They want a big party. Everyone have a good time, and you do. It's really fun. It's like going to the Ryder Cup kind of on steroids. Like, the Ryder Cup's my favorite tournament in the PGA. Because there's a lot of crowd involvement. People are yelling and screaming and chanting. And then you go to a PGA event and it's just like, you hear the birds and crickets, you know what I'm saying? It's just complete quiet and silence. And
are there a lot of get off my lawn fans and golfers that you're like, how preposterous? It seems like the antithesis of the Masters, if you will. Maybe not in overall presentation.
No, so what the Live has to work out, they have a drone problem. And this happened to Rom on number 6. Our number 6, it's protected by like a pond on the left. So there's water, danger left, and then it's OB right. There's a tight fairway. It's one of the hard holes on the course. He's back there, and you can Google this and look it up. There's a replay of it. The drone comes down right in his backswing and probably 15 foot. And those things are loud. Like, you can hear him, like buzzing. And he yanks one in the water, and then he's cussing. He's like, effing drones every time in my backswing, So, but there's going to be drone. Like, the Live's all about tech. And and the shots were gorgeous. The course showed really well, even if you watched it on the CW network or whatever. But yeah, so
fascinating, dude. It's fascinating, really.
But it was a ton of fun.
The new age golfer, the young guy. We'll talk about this in basketball, kind of the change in athlete and what it appeals to the course and to the fans. It really is fascinating.
Wait,
man.
before we move on, I want to ask Brandon this because, Brandon, you and I played golf probably 7 or 8 years ago, and it was the first time like you brought out a speaker and put it in our golf cart. We were playing at Scenic View in Estill, and you put a speaker in there, and I was like, "Wait, isn't this?"
Was
taboo?
when I won the green jacket.
Yeah, I was like, "Isn't this taboo?" And you're like, "No, it's fine. No one else can hear it." And I'm like, "Oh, this makes so much sense because no one else can hear it." It's like, how did the PGA Tour miss this mark of golf can be fun and entertaining? Like, how'd they miss it?
That's what I was looking for. Thank you.
It's just tradition. Like, it's old school, like tradition. That's what they're all about. And, I think they're starting to see the change and trying to adapt, before they get left behind. But it's just, if you have constant noise as a golfer, like constant noise is fine. It's the sudden start or stop of it is the problem. That's what distracts you. So if you've got music playing the whole time, it's fine.
I mean, like to me, like, that's weak sauce, right? Like if I'm making
It
an argument,
is.
someone yells objection. Well, I don't give a F what they say. I'm still focused on my argument.
Yeah, but golf is already so mentally stressful, and there's only a few players that can really focus that way. Tiger was one of them, but comparing to that, it's tough because it's really hard. But like I said, I would prefer music, and I always listen to music every time I play. All my buddies do as well, and I mean we've got it. The more we drink, the more holes we get into, the louder it goes. It's a good time.
So PGA is basically Judge Schmale, and the LIV is.
Sorry, bud, you're cutting out.
We lost Raj.
Sure as hell. Whoa.
Oh.
Yeah, sorry. Say that again. PGA is basically
I
what?
said the PGA is essentially Judge Schmale, and LIV is Al Chervik. It's Rodney Dangerfield, the great. Hey, Wang,
for sure.
Don't tell him you're Jewish. All right, okay.
No, I got to tell you though, if there's a LIV event around you or near you, the ground tickets are super cheap. It's like $60 or something to get in. It's a great time. It's really fun. They do a shotgun start, so it's over in like 4.5, 5 hours. You don't have to be there all day. It's a noon tee time, so it's just a big party. It's a lot of fun. Fun event.
It's something that I think we should have a separate show on because I find it fascinating, just the trend and where golf's going to be in 5 years. And as the dad of a 10-year-old baseball player who's, he's pretty good, especially for an Indian. Just kidding. But no, it's just, this era and digital age and what conditions he likes versus old school. And it's very interesting. But enough of that. Rob, you missed the parade, but let's get into Tony Vitello and the swag finally getting backed up by probably not the most talented top to bottom Tennessee team, but obviously the most, and excuse my French, fucking nails Tennessee baseball team there has been. What was your reaction in that 6-5 Game 3 championship game against Texas A&M? And how did you feel afterwards, aside from hungover? And just tell me about what this means for the University of Tennessee and the state of Tennessee.
Well, first for the university, and Peyton Manning said it. What we expect is this is the first of many to come. We have football rolling, we have basketball rolling. It's just a matter of time. But this was a kind of. So Tony Vitello came here. They showed a clip of his first game. There were like 20 people there. And this is about building a program. And if you build it, they will come. And with SEC, and this goes into another kind of point of it's going to be the haves and have-nots in all these sports. Tennessee has the resources to, you'll stay. We'll build you stadiums. We'll build you whatever. We'll recruit. We have NIL money. And this is kind of what you're looking at, a program that was a sleeping giant, now got awoken, and with this new age college athletics, here you go. He won.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Am I the only one getting technical glitches here?
Just
I
you.
am? Oh, shit.
Yeah.
But so in 7 years, no first time head coach has won a championship at an SEC program who is going to get paid and paid and paid. And it was a great experience. My wife was at Market Square at the parade. It was just great. A fan base that has been beaten down for so long, whether it's coaching changes. I mean, everyone knows the football saga, heartbreak in basketball, and I'm going to get to Memphis later, but just so close in basketball, and then now to break through the first number 1 seed since '99, Miami, to win the championship. It was awesome, and it was something everyone was talking about, and it was just a great accomplishment, and I'm happy for all those guys, happy for the university, obviously, and just how that if it snowballs, and it's going to. But yeah, it was an awesome thing. I forgot what it's like to actually win something, so fill that again.
And since '98.
Yeah, seriously. You were ready with that one, Shane. Always ready to fire out Tennessee's misery and Schadenfreude. It is amazing for the state. You know, this is a place where people really love their sports, and maybe about 3 or 4 other things. Definitely other people. The hospitality is real, folks. But I just said something nice about the state.
Stop the press. Breaking news.
Those
Wow.
meds must be kicking in.
He said
Even
something
I-
nice, period.
I know, seriously. As an SC guy, I've always been able to relate to dumpster fires that are Tennessee, most programs. But this is a fan base that just lives and dies. The local economy is tied to the Tennessee sports success. I mean, it's a fact, and I'm sure Rob would agree. So it's wonderful to see for Tennessee fans, yes, but really for the state, because there's so much pride in this state and in that gaudy orange, as oh God, Sandra Bullock said, please shoot me now. But anyways, on that note, I got to bounce on that. Let's get straight in to what is ordinarily a severely depressing 2 days for really all of us that love basketball. And I'm talking about the NBA draft. I do have that's Big Shot Bob right there signed over the Kings and Western Conference Finals 2002.
If I was there at your house, I would rip that off the wall.
Well, it was still a great moment, but there's a lot of Kobe around here too. So
Game 6 of the NBA Finals when Rasheed Wallace decides, I'm going to go double team the inbounder. The greatest clutch shooter of all time left wide open. What do you think happened?
yeah,
We're going to San Antonio for Game 7, and the rest is history.
I remember that.
But I
Big Shot
digress.
Bob, that was Sheed likes his weed, but anyways, yeah, let's start with you, Rob. Just transitioning. I know you like. We're gonna come back to Memphis. We're gonna sandwich Tom in the middle, but start with the Hawks. Because in Tennessee, Atlanta's an hour and a half away from where Rob is. Memphis is in the same state. So start with the Hawks, please. Tell me what you thought of Wee Zachary. I just thought of that.
You know, to me, for the draft overall, the first 3 picks were kind of just weak because we don't know much about them. And the NBA, like, I think we may get into this later, like the hype on the NBA draft versus like compared to the NFL, like it's just like I'm like, who are these guys? Like, yeah, he looks like a tall string bean guy. Like, I don't know if he's gonna be good, I don't know if he's gonna be bad. Like, I see visions, I see videos of him, and I'm like, oh, he looks pretty good. But what do you do? I was hoping the Hawks were going to trade back for reasons I'll get into later. But does he fit with Trae Young? I don't know. I don't know what the Hawks are really, what their vision is. Like, it's just, I watched them in that play-in game. They got beat by 30 or something. I was like, how is it possible that there are 8 to 10 teams worse than them in this conference? Like, and so I don't know if they improved themselves or just set themselves back. 6'9", 195. I'm 5'9", and I weigh 195. So I mean,
Well,
I
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
I just don't know what you're getting, a skinny, bony kid. Like, who knows if he's going to work or not?
And the reason why I was asking Brandon about the change in golf and a new generation, I don't want to say this generation because it's get off my lawn. And I'm going to talk about this, but Tom, I'm sure you noticed this change in basketball now from, the big man to the 48-foot shooter. And in that, I mean, Trae Young is the perfect example. And Luka was on the board, by the way, hindsight 2020. But how many of these like skinny wing beanpole dudes were drafted? How many French dudes were drafted? You just see all these guys with crazy wingspans and not a lot of proven overall ability, but presumed to be ready for, whatever today's NBA is. The Pistons did that also, did they not? Again?
Well, the Pistons took the Pistons took Asar Thompson last year, who ironically enough played for Ignite, who is a carbon copy of Ron Holland II, who they drafted last night, which basically he's a work in progress. 18 years old. Does he have the skill set? Yeah, he's very raw. But the problem I have with the Pistons going this route was they've already got 4 of those guys on their roster. They already got 4 guys, swingmen who can drive the lane, who can shoot from, I don't know, within 15. They don't need that. They need somebody that's going to either hit from downtown or somebody that can body down low. And I just think with a new regime with Trajan Langdon, as you call him, the Alaskan assassin, I thought that they were going to go a different direction, because basically this is exactly what Troy Weaver had been doing the previous 4 years in the draft. So we talked earlier that they passed up Tyrese Halliburton for Killian Hayes, who's no longer in the NBA right now. So the draft history of the Pistons has been pretty abysmal, and it didn't change last night. And I'm really disappointed. I think it's fair to assume that the Pistons could potentially be one of the top 5 most athletic teams in the NBA. But you got to have somebody that A, can play defense, and B, when they need a big bucket, when they need a big 3, they can go get it. And the guy they drafted last night, he's sub 30% from the 3. And I don't know. He could turn out to be a world beater. I could eat crow. I don't know. But I just think for a team that won 14 games last year, and once again, they get the number 5 pick in the draft, which I have my feelings of the draft lottery.
Atlanta had a 3% chance, folks.
Yeah. I mean, it's ridiculous.
So Tom, what do you think it is about the NBA draft that makes this potential be all the rage? Because it's like, I could potentially do something, but I haven't done it yet. Like I don't get this mentality.
Well, you look up and down, almost every player that was picked last night in the first round, are they going to be starters coming into next season? Probably not. I mean,
that was my question. Who's NBA ready on this roster? Who?
I don't see it. It's interesting, and we lost Brandon. So I think the raw potential in this to me, in my honest opinion, the foreign players, the French players, they don't start really playing competitively until they're 14. The years previously, they're learning the game. They're learning the fundamentals. And that's why you're starting to see that shift in the North American game, them coming here. But then on the flip side of that, you have 1 year out of high school. That's all you need for these kids. And in the social media kind of era that we live in, these kids get so overhyped. And when they're in middle school, when they're in early high school, they've got millions of followers. So there's ego situations. So they really don't have an opportunity to develop beyond the high school game. You see these kids in the Pistons 2 years in a row take someone out of the G League. What Scooter Barnes is really the only G League player that has amounted to anything, and he's going to get a max deal in Toronto here coming up. But it's all about development, and it's all about maturity, and top to bottom, these kids have not kind of made that move toward that. And this is where I think we're going to talk about with you, Raj, with Dalton Connect, who is a little bit older and he's a little bit mature. And you talk about somebody that's, quote, NBA ready. I think he's probably the only one that I see that's NBA ready. And the fact of the matter is, it's because he's climbed that hill. He's been to 3 different places and he's mature. And I think that's really going to come into play. But, bottom line is you got egos and you got kids that think they're better and they're the future. And the reality is they're really not, because reality hits them hard when they get into the league.
So, yeah, let's talk Dalton Connect. Raj, what did you think about the Lakers landing him?
I was stoked. It's we talk about the Alaskan assassin Trajan Langdon, and he was a basketball player from Alaska that never missed, and he went to Duke. So for JJ Reddick and a Coach K disciple, and for them to make the need pick, the best available pick, kind of like my Raiders and Brock Bowers, the most talented kid, the most proven commodity, it was very pleasantly surprising. He is a perfect fit for this team. They need somebody that can stretch the defense. They need a wing that can get off his own shot. People that underestimated Dalton Connect, who was the SEC Player of the Year, and there's a lot of people just based upon looks and his story are going to be in for a rude reality or awakening. This is a kid who can, like I said, he's a throwback, really. He's polished. He's a hard worker. Nothing has been given to him in life. He's got back to the basket game. He's got mid-range. All these things are all throwbacks. And the Lakers need all of this. And, he's more athletic than you think. His feet are quicker than you think. To get a top 7, arguably ranked kid, top 5 at 17 and fill your need. I mean, what the fuck? Like, I don't even know what team I was watching. What do you think, being a Laker fan and a Tennessee guy?
I can't remember if it was y'all's chain or another channel. I was shocked. I was like, did he fail a drug test? I was like, what's happened? Like, how is he falling? And they're like,
they weren't even mentioning his name until literally right before he got drafted. That was the first mention of him.
It was shocking to me, and I was like, what's happening? Like something going on. And I guess it was his age. Man, he's 23. He's got a decade in the NBA, or more. And
with 2 player coaches. And it's interesting though, real quick. He is the antithesis of the guys we talked about earlier. The 6'7", 6'8". My Phoebe girl wants to get in the room. 100-pound guy. He's 6'6", 215. Uses his body well. Uses his shoulders. He's the opposite of all these other potential kids.
I wore a purple polo today and some yellow socks. I was so excited. It brings me back to living in Southern California. I was so pumped. He's the perfect fit there. Like, literally, the Lakers have a trading one. He's going to have open shots because you're going to have LeBron and AD attracting so much traffic. He's going to sit there, and I'm so excited for him. And it's much better than going to Oklahoma City. No offense to Oklahoma City. No offense to Utah or Portland. Wherever
Put it in there.
they're going to regret it.
I think so. I really do, because, you know, Raj can attest to this. When Amon-Ra was drafted by the Lions, that was an ultimate chip on his shoulder when he went in the 4th round.
Yeah.
I think he's going to have a target on the 16 teams that passed on him, and he provides everything you want in a 2-guard. He can slash to the rim. He can shoot the 3 as good as anybody in the country. And the bottom line here was, you had teams in the tournament and throughout the SEC season that they had the game plan for Dalton Connect. So, and to think, you know, like you said yesterday, he was the SEC Player of the Year. I mean, SEC basketball has been on
the average 28
up
points
and up
a game in a 40-minute game. Like,
right. Yeah. So it boggled my mind. And if we're talking about age at 23 years old, which was the gold standard, you know, 15, 20 years ago, coming out of college, shame on all those other and shame on my Pistons. I thought he was the perfect fit for what they need here in Detroit, and they missed on that. So I think the Lakers are going to definitely benefit big time with him being on the court. LeBron's going to make him into a star. I don't have any reason to think otherwise.
It's a perfect fit. And apologies, the host doesn't really get up. But when you have a dog about to bark and wake up, a 10-year-old and a wife, you got to get up and let the little bastard in. But anyways, Shane, was this a classic case with Connect falling of judging a book by its cover? And I don't want to get into any racial implications or the sport, but, you know, dude was, 5'8". He was your height. Just kidding. Shane would actually take me out, no problem these days. But
he is
5'8", Northern Colorado transfer.
5'9".
What else about him were people just ignorant to everything?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think he just took time to develop, and we saw that his last season at UT, last 2 seasons really, started coming on late the season before, and then was just on fire after that. But dude, he's such a good, he's so cerebral about the game. Like he can score on all three levels. He could pull up, he can hit that 15-footer, or he can take it to the paint. And just great ball skills. And not to mention, I mean, he's a pretty good passer as well. I know he's usually the one getting past too, but he's going to be great for the Lakers. I couldn't believe he fell. I thought for sure he'd be a top 10 guy. And
and to that point, Brandon, about passer and getting better, you got to think he played at Northern Colorado. Then he played at UT, best player by far at UT. He's now going to play with LeBron James and Anthony Davis.
That's what I'm saying. He's going to learn.
He's never even seen players that good.
I know, but he's the only one that I saw, aside from, and we'll get to this, Robbie's going to kill me, but Edie is a plug-and-play player, but Connect is probably the most plug-and-play player.
Don't you dare.
I know. We'll have words about that.
Well, let's go right there, dude. Let's go.
Because he's so big. Like, I know the fouls are going to be a little harder and not as soft as they were every time he played in college, but he's also bigger than everyone, so that has its advantages. I mean, he posts down low.
Real quick, Raj, how big did Reddick's eyes get when he realized that Dalton Connect was available? The opportunity to draft somebody that somewhat emulates his own game.
A bigger JJ Reddick.
Absolutely.
I texted you guys last night and said JJ just drafted himself, and I mean, minus maybe the athleticism, which Connect has a little bit more. I mean, they're one and the same player, so thought that was kind of an interesting.
Well, that's just a golden ticket that fell into JJ's hands at that point.
Yeah, you
Like,
got
right.
the
What
seventh
would
best
it-
player at 17.
I mean, what were the Lakers even looking at if he wasn't there? You know what I'm saying? Like, what was available they could have filled in?
They were looking at De Silva, who is probably more of a traditional 4. As a Pac-12 guy, I didn't love it. He has potential. He's got that things we talked, the range. He does have some mid-range game. He's got a nice touch, but he's long and skinny and wingspan. But, one thing about Reddick was he's 6'4", and he did Connect to play bigger than his size, but he could also obviously shoot. But when he first got in the league, it was a more traditional NBA, a more 5-on-5 half-court game. And
Well, and your
that's
shooting
one thing
guards
about
were
Connect.
smaller back then too.
Absolutely. And Connect is just, he defies a lot of these presumptions and roles. And you look at who he played at Tennessee in the SEC and some of his best games against a defensive powerhouse like traditionally Wisconsin, against Purdue 16-7, Kentucky. And you can't just go off the numbers here. This is a guy that Tennessee went to every time they needed a big bucket. And he could have been 1 for 15. He was going to take it. And that's the kind of attitude that you will never see on, rarely see rather on some of these Euro kids and G League kids. Because, obviously they're by nature, they're developmental. They come from developmental backgrounds and developmental, mechanisms, if you will. Whereas this kid was just the opposite. And, against a very good defensive team like Auburn, I remember he had 39 and it was just so effortless. And people think if he gets off his own shot against talented guys, he gets in the paint. Well, he's kind of it's just very much an illusion into what he can do.
He was the constant on that team, right? So when he was just playing mediocre, they were in the game in every game. When he would catch fire, I mean, lights out, the game's over. It's done. So he's an impressive player. He's certainly a plug and play. And to get on the Lakers with LeBron, and that's going to be amazing for him.
If you watch him shoot, he has the same release that Durant has. It's this extremely high release that Barnes taught Durant and Barnes taught Connect.
Real quick, we have to always bring up both sides of the spectrum. Number one, quick note, when I said Purdue 16-7, that was the first time. He had 37 and 10 or something. They played earlier in the year, I believe, and then they lost to them in the Elite Eight, correct? Okay, you got your baseball championship. You can delve back into the memory bank a little bit now, but
they lost here in Detroit.
Yeah. We're about to get to that. We're going to get to that. I've got tons of anger.
And who did they lose to? The next guy we're going to talk about.
Yes.
Mr. Edey, 23
There's a downside
shots
to Connect fitting in the Lakers. For me, it's the Lakers. Now, they had a lot of injuries this past year of guys like Jared Vanderbilt, who are young, aggressive, talented, athletic man defenders. Bronny to an extent, and I'll get into that later, but he doesn't fit that mold, but he is quicker than you think. Rob, last thing quick on Connect. Defensively, what did you see and what do you see? I know defense and NBA are an oxymoron, but
he came to Tennessee to learn how to play defense, and Rick Barnes plays defense. And so what he learned is positioning body and how to play off of each other. His defense, and like you said, NBA defense, regular season is non-existent. It's more playoff defense. He's going to learn. He's got a good foundation now. He's going to learn more, and I think he's going to be a great addition for the Lakers.
That's the only fault in his game, really, and it's not even that bad. It's just a little coaching here and there. I think he can do it because he's got the feet, like you said. I mean, his feet are quick.
No one during the regular season pick and rolled don't connect, get him 1-on-1 because he's not that bad.
And plus, if you're looking at the Lakers offense, which is a high pick and roll basically with LeBron and AD, he's not going to have any of the best defensive options on him ever.
Yeah. How many corner threes is he going to catch and just nail from LeBron driving the paint?
He's going to go off, and it's LA, and we're going to love him. We're going to fucking love it. Like, people think, Laker fans at the bottom bowl of Staples or whatever they call crypto now. No, man. Like 200s and 300s are OGs, and that jersey is going to sell not as fast as
I'm sure there's one head in the Chattanooga as we speak.
Oh, man, it's probably going off. But let's get in. Shane, I'm going to first going into Zach Edey before I get to Rob, because this is definitely going to be wheelhouse Rob and not for a positive reason for him.
Right.
But Shane, you seem like you're okay. And Tom, I'm throwing this out there with the pick, but you know what? I mean, Donovan Clingan went number 7 to Portland, but nobody's freaking out. Shane, start with you real quick. Why do you like this pick?
I mean, I don't necessarily. I'm indifferent about it. It's a big guy. He's a big body down low. He can shoot free throws. Obviously, we've seen that, and I think that's their position. He's a big body guy down low. I mean, what else do you want from him? He's not gonna wow you. He doesn't play great defense, but it's okay.
Robbie's gonna have a stroke. Hey, nothing Ja likes better than clogging up the lane. Let's go to you, Edey. Tell me about it.
So today's quote unquote big man, they don't just stay in the lane. They don't just stay in the block. They can get out and shoot. Look at Luka. Look at some of the other big men that they stretch the floor. They play health on defenses, and you look at Clingan and Zach Edey. These guys are kind of old school big men. Mm-hmm. They're big. They can rebound, but on the offensive end, they're questionable. And I don't really know if they have the body per se to bang with some of the the big boys there. And when the reality is, if they're being pulled out from the paint, that's going to really allow a lot of these offenses to get some easy buckets, because that clog down low is going to be gone. So I think the both of them are going to need to put on some weight. And Edey's advantage, like Brandon said, he's really good from the free throw line, and he draws a lot of fouls. And I can feel Robbie right now.
He's spoiled.
He was rewarded with a lot of free throws that may be questionable, but in the NBA, when you breathe on a guy, there's a foul call. So you're looking at an opportunity to get the ball down low and to get to the free throw line. But outside of that, I just, again, just like a lot of these other players, they're raw. That seems to be the common thread here. And the thought was Zach Edey, who wasn't he the player of the year?
Back to back.
Yeah.
Robbie, back
to back. The thought was maybe he wouldn't even get drafted. But one good note
got drafted.
One good note was Zach Edey. In the 4 years he played at Purdue, he progressively got better and better each year, to the tune of, I think he was averaged 12 points as a freshman. He averaged 26 as a senior. So you like the fact that each year he got better and better. Will that translate to the NBA? It's hard to say. Say, Robbie.
Real quick before Robbie goes, it's a good point, Tom. I think he is an old school big man, but he's way too soft. Like, he's gonna have to toughen up in the NBA to have any clout there.
Look at Chet Holmgren. Chet Holmgren came into the league. He toothpicks. He's bulked up a little bit, and his game improved. So that's going to be
and Edey's not a toothpick. He's not.
I'm getting smoked. Oh, God,
He's
When I
not a
watch
toothpick,
SpongeBob-
but he
No.
does play soft, in my opinion. I
Not
just
a
think
reference to you guys, but when I watch Dumb and Dumber, and I swear I'm not referencing anything, but I watched just Jim Carrey, and for like the last 5 minutes, I've just been watching Robbie's face, and I'm fucking dying. Dude, my feet are back up on the desk. Ow and out, Rob.
You're
So-
up.
Tell us what you think.
All right. So
here we go.
one,
It was great.
I tweeted this last night. I hope Memphis loses every game next year in the foreseeable future. Every single game. I cannot. Memphis is in Tennessee, and they drafted Public Enemy #1. That guy is not going to be a good NBA player. You know why? Because you don't get a fucking foul call when someone breathes on you in the NBA. He can't move. He's not going to be able to, yeah, oh, great. He shoots great free throws. Well, he's not going to get a call every time he elbows someone in the face on every rebound and get every freaking. This was the biggest reach. And Memphis, you're going to pay for it. You're going to be sorry because no, he can't guard anyone. He is slow. He's awkward. I don't care if he's 7 foot tall. You know who else is 7 foot tall? Wembanyama. He will run circles around him. And so these other France guys they drafted. Like Memphis, you had a chance to do the right thing. Draft Dalton Connect. And what did you do? Draft trader #1. This guy, I now hope Sister Jean lives longer than Zach Edey. That's how bad this is. It is just a travesty. Again, I used to like Memphis. I was there the other weekend, never going back, kicked out of the state of Tennessee. This is just ridiculous. And no, all of you guys are wrong. He's not going to be good in the pros. He's terrible. And I can't. You know what? I hope he has to pay state income tax. We need Governor Lee to make an exception. Zach Edey has to pay state income tax. That's what I think about this pick and this guy.
He said I hate him so much. I hope he lives longer than, or I hope Sister Jean outlives him.
Now that's big because we all know he is not a fan of Sister Jean and her Harry Potter.
Yes, it's.
Dude, if I could walk it off right now.
Last night, I couldn't believe it. Like of all the people,
I've never seen you speechless and flustered and so. I mean, you even admit you're like all these France guys versus French. You're a highly educated, excellent attorney who has a huge head, and I hate saying that. And Brandon's right now about to barf, but that shit was fucking great.
And that Robbie rant is brought to you by RiverCity-Media.
Yeah, dude, that's the Robbie rant, and they're spontaneous, folks, and you can tell. Sometimes they're just pure gold. But I need to catch my breath. But all right, let's go real quick. I think we all love the Connect pick. Anyone fire out other favorite pick of the draft? Anyone right now, and then we're gonna get into a couple of big time head scratchers. But does anybody have a pick aside from Connect in the first round? We're gonna talk about the second. That you were like, oh hell yeah, like this is a great fit. A lot of people love Stephon Castle, very polished, multi-dimensional point guard going to the young Spurs.
Well, I thought the Spurs did very well with both those picks in the first round, as they usually do.
I agree. An organization that rarely fucks up. I thought Reed Shepherd was an excellent, excellent pick for a Houston team, and his fit in there is going to be very good, despite other people thinking they have a number of twos on that team.
I like Jared McCain coming out of Duke going to Philadelphia. I think this is a kid that going to play with Joel Embiid. You have two personalities, completely opposite personalities. We'll say this McCain kid's a He's got like 2-something million followers on TikTok. He's kind of flamboyant. He's like your boy Caleb Williams. He paints his nails, and he's got a kind of a
he don't give an F, dude.
Right? Yeah. I mean,
people
will
love
that
him.
equate?
He's pure.
Will that equate to the NBA? I'm not sure, but I like the attitude, and he seemed like a guy that you could root for, and he's going to a tough city, to Philly. He's going to play next to one of the biggest hard-headed individuals in the NBA, and Embiid. So I think that's a pick that you can watch out for.
My best fit overall, though, was the rich getting richer, with the Nuggets getting Deron Holmes, who was by far Aaron. I always call him Deron, but I believe that's it. In my boy Dave Miller, season ticket holder to Dayton, would be very pissed at me because I love his game. He's the only polished. Oh yeah, he was traded, was he not?
Yeah.
But I thought they traded? Wait a minute. All right, I'm getting confused. I thought he was traded to Denver.
Ryan Dunn is with Denver.
Minnesota getting Rob Dillingham was a great addition.
That's amazing. And take off on that, Rob. I thought Denver wanted Holmes because he was a perfect athletic fit. They do have Michael Porter Jr., but this is kind of a more of a 4. But Phoenix needs it too. That's for damn sure. I thought he was picked by them, but then a proposed trade to Denver. Whatever it is, and I'll figure it out. I'm sorry, folks. I've been down. I like Holmes a lot. He is the polished version of those kids with potential that weigh 150 pounds. You said a great one there. Tom, did you say that or Chain about the Timberwolves?
No, I said Rob Dillingham going to the
Timberwolves. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Tell me about that, dude.
So he was even though Reed Shepherd got the headlines about Kentucky, Reed Shepherd was the consistent person, but Dillingham was the one that when they went nuts, he went nuts. So you add him to a conference final team, that's a great pickup because he can go lights out. He's one of those people that can I wouldn't say Steph Curry style, but he can go 6 in a row just hot.
And he was drafted by the Spurs, and the Spurs immediately dealt him.
Yeah.
I mean, he couldn't be going to a better position right now. Minnesota, like we talked about last week, Minnesota's in the, kind of the driver's seat. They're going to be 2-3 in the West to go to the NBA Finals. They're ready now, and I think Dillingham would have been a huge asset for San Antonio. So intriguing that they moved him the way they did.
I was shocked at that too, because I thought that makes great sense. They moved him. I was like, wow.
Yeah, that was a trip. Least surprising pick after Bronny, by the way, to me was Baylor Shireman from Creighton to the
Creighton.
Baylor, to the Celtics. Missoula loves his threes, and this is a quick decision maker, and he kind of fits the Celtic profile.
A white guy,
if you will. Yeah. And well, Nebraska, not Indiana, but anyways. Let's get into the flip side. We all love people's misery. Who fucked it up the worst? Brandon, let's go with you. Who fucking was like, oh my God, we're taking Memphis out. If you think Memphis, who was just like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, I got nothing outside of Memphis, right? I'm not a big NBA guy, so that's all I got. The whole Edey pick there was a fiasco, apparently.
Which says a lot for a guy that, this is a different NBA, and you're talking about it being pretty obvious of a guy that, although he can change a game, it was a reach at that point, and that's just
they just grabbed him because of his size, right? And it's like I feel like when the NBA gets to after the lottery, it's like, you're flipping a coin on most of these guys. There's going to be a handful that actually produce. Most of them are going to end up at G League or playing overseas. I mean, that's just the reality of it. But I mean, why not take a chance on a big guy? But I still think, Edey he got a lot of foul calls. He's a good free throw shooter. That's about it right now.
Again, how he fits at Memphis, nobody knows really. But
Sorry,
Tom, what about you?
I mean,
who fucked up the most?
Y'all say something about Memphis, how much they suck, and they should be exiled. Did I hear something about that?
No, nothing about that.
You should move them to Mississippi. I'm really gonna stick with my home team, Pistons. They kept on the trajectory that they had been going, which is not in the direction that me as a fan wanted. As you could see in my my line there, bring back the bad boy era NBA. They draft another player that they already have. And,
are there any coach rumors? Who's going to be the coach?
Bodega, I think his name is, the assistant at New Orleans, who has a relationship with Trajan Langdon. So he seems to be the right fit. They brought in.
Seems like that'll work.
They brought in a guy named Vincent, I believe his last name is, he's a shooting coach. So the Pistons were, I believe, in the sub-20s at 3-point. So they've already brought in a shooting expert to help the team. But yeah, I think it's going to be Bodega that they bring in, who was rumored to be a Lakers finalist. He was rumored to be a Cavs finalist. He was kind of one of the hotter commodities. But nonetheless, they don't have a coach yet. So what are they going to do? They're sitting there with roughly $70 million in cap space, and let's not kid ourselves. Nobody is coming here in free agency other than to get an absolute payday. And I don't even think you're going to get mid-tier guys that want to do that. And are the Pistons willing to give up the house for a mid-tier player? I've heard Tobias Harris, who's already kicked the can here in Detroit. So that's a guy that doesn't excite me. So the bottom line is you're going to have to overpay, one, and number two, you're going to have to come up with some sort of trade package to get players in here. You might be overpaying for a guy on the last year of his contract, but they need to get help. And like I said earlier, they have a lot of talent and they're athletic as all get up. But that doesn't do you any good if you can't put it together. And I think if you look at Boston's situation, Boston was kind of in the same boat until they brought Joe Mazzulla in, who taught them how to play defense. Kind of was that missing piece that they didn't have. And the rest is history. Now the 18th NBA championship. So I'm a biased fan, but I'm very transparent, and I'll call it like it is. The Pistons, I loved. The bad boys, the going to work era, those are huge memories in my life, and I miss them big time. And I don't see it coming next year, the year after that, anytime soon. I could be retired before they get back to prominence. And newsflash, I don't think I'm ever going to retire. So
I'm going to say real quick, I'm going to throw out some numbers. 36, 29, 34, 32. Those are the ages of the Milwaukee Bucks, the majority of their starting lineup. They are a win-now team. Their point guard is Damian Lillard, who is 34. They died in the NBA playoffs because half their team died. They selected A.J. Johnson from the NBL, which is the National Basketball League in Australia. He's an American kid born in Fresno, went to Southern California Academy, committed to Texas, not as one of the highest kids, goes instead, change of heart, to the National Basketball League in Australia as part of the Next Stars program. He played 7 minutes per game, averaged, I think, 2 points and like 2 assists maybe, and a team that's win now with a 23rd pick with tons of much better and more NBA ready talent, including a kid who I don't think lived up to potential in USC's Isaiah Collier, but is a much better fit, and a kid who turned the corner defensively and with his involvement in the game mentally and physically. But I just what the fuck? This kid is, maybe a late second rounder in my opinion. I know that there was mystique about him, and if that was his call and that's why he went to Australia, then fucking good call, bro. Like, fucking great job. Your agent deserves a raise. But the Bucks are in win now, as of this year or else. And going after this kid, when a kid like Shireman or anybody that can stretch the D that's a lot younger, I had that you could plug in right now. This is not a plug and play kid in Australia. How the fuck is he going to be a plug and play kid in the NBA with the ultimate win now team? So that was I hope I didn't steal your thunder, Rob. Yeah, no doubt. Tell me, Rob, winners, losers. Last question is going to you before we get to Bronny. Biggest surprise. What is your take? No Memphis, no Edie. What is your take on the NBA draft? You have the last word. Before Bronny.
I guess just like as a production, I was excited about it more than I've been in like probably 10 years. And just how lackluster it was. Like, I just think they don't do a good job about marketing the foreign people. If the foreign people are going to be the top 3 of the top 6 players, like, let's get them in the show more often. Like, like they just look like tall, skinny basketball players. Like, you could have interchanged them. You could have lined them all up. Like, who's who? I don't know. The NBA is like, NFL doesn't do this. Like, NFL markets their stars better, and that was my takeaway from just because you told me I can't talk about how shitty Memphis is, and
we've already covered that.
Yeah.
You had your monologue.
Even Wemby last year, they did not market him enough. People knew who he was, but this was an ultra talented player. And we don't know anything about these guys. Now, some people initially thought it's because they suck, and next year's going to be the year with Cooper Flag and others. But there's just no drama. There's no personality. There's no, like, when the pick is in and that little on the NFL broadcast, you're like, edge of your seat. I don't think anybody gave a shit except for the connect moment. And the last thing we'll say about the NBA draft is the only other headline stealing moment, which in my opinion, funny, the Lakers after the Celtics win the championship within a week, steal headlines. Bronny James. I'll get into him as a player. I'm not even going to say who's surprised by the Lakers drafted him, because no one was. But what does Bronny to the Lakers mean? Tom, you go first. Why?
It means that LeBron's going to re-sign there and he's going to finish his career as a Laker. It means that the NBA, a lot like this debate that's going on right now, you can't take it serious because this kid is not an NBA player. He is a pawn, and I feel sorry for him because, frankly, I think he's going to get embarrassed when he's on the court. And that comes down to I don't think he's developed enough. He missed an entire year. Thank the Lord that he's okay from his heart condition. I mean, he recovered to come back the next year. That's remarkable. That's beyond anything we could ever comprehend. But I don't think he developed enough. I think a year in Big Ten play would have really helped his game immensely. So I think it was just a pawn, a ploy to get LeBron to stay. And on the flip side of that too, his agent, which is, LeBron's best buddy, rumored to have told all these other teams don't draft him because he won't play. He's going to play for LA or Phoenix. Other than that, he's going to go to play in Australia. So I think there's collusion involved, and I think the NBA really is fallen, and the Lakers kind of fell victim to, they wasted a pick in my mind, and I like I said, I feel kind of sorry for him because what is he going to get, 5 minutes a game, if that, and garbage time? But it was a necessary means to get what they wanted in the end. JJ Reddick reunited with his podcast partner LeBron James.
Rob, is this one massive insurance policy, or is there more to Bronny to the Lakers on and off the floor?
No, it is just strictly transactional. It is. Hey, LeBron, we need you to stay. We just drafted Connect. We have AD. We have these people signed. What's a 55th pick in the NBA draft worth anyways? It's not like football. It is, for people who don't understand, look, there's only about 20 players in the draft each year that can play in the NBA. And so after that, you're talking about just G League back and forth. The one thing that the Lakers are going to grant Bronny is that he's not I call him tweenies, but that's not what the proper word is. A two-way player. He is going to be paid as an NBA player, but he will play in the G League. But it's just, nonsense. And I agree with Tom. The G League became this kind of nonsensical, kind of just way for people to not make money, or to make money but not really compete. They're playing
not have to go to class.
Yeah, they're playing in empty gyms. Just go to college.
It's a holding pattern. Yeah, the G League's just a holding pattern. Maybe you'll make it, maybe you'll get picked up by Canada. Who knows?
Obviously, somebody flipped a switch on me. So this is the last thing we're going to talk about. We were going to get into JJ and the Lakers coaching saga, but I think we touched on the essential points, and we can follow up later. The flip side of Bronny is somebody who watched him a lot. He actually came back in the same year after having cardiac arrest. It happened a month into the summer after high school. Just a pivotal, impressionable time with his teammates, with his own game. It's just drastic. Being said, he is a jack of all trades, master of none, but not on an NBA level. He is a high IQ kid. I know we say that, but he's a facilitator. And I watched his game and a lot of it. And, USC was counting on guys being healthy and him being the starting three, and it didn't work out. Collier got hurt. Boogie got hurt. But he really, before that, they were so excited. And he's a guy that is an excellent man defender. You can see some of the glimpses of LeBron in the chase down blocks and things. But, he's a mini version. Bron was a brute when he got into the league. He wasn't polished, but, he could fool everyone because he was just a man versus boys. And this is a boy playing in a man's league. And is there potential? Yeah, sure. He's got the best player coach alive right now. And, a great team around him. He can, inject life. It's the Lakers. So there's kind of a letdown that we always go through that, cheering for a dude from Northern Colorado and Tennessee. And then for LeBron's kid, just hit a three off the bench and we lose it. So it could be an injection. He does have potential. He's got a body, but he's just not. It's unfortunate because he'll always, I agree with Tom, be compared inevitably. We all know this. And I think he handles this amazingly well. He handles his 8 million followers on Instagram well. He's handled the spotlight since he was 10 well, and big ups to his dad. But this is going to be a situation that eventually he is forgotten, or some sort of script is written in Hollywood where we just kind of don't say, oh, that's a fucking bust. Fuck this kid. Excuse my language. So Yeah, there is a chance, but I don't think it's going to end well. And that's all we're going to say about basketball, and that's all I'm going to say. We are now getting to quickly our last topic, which pays the bills, and I'm not going to say shit. We're just going to touch on power rankings, the NFL pre-camp power rankings. And there's different versions of this from NFL.com, ESPN.com. We kind of know who's already up there. I'm going to start with you, Chain, producer extraordinaire and contributor Tomas steps it up once again. Chain, which teams are too high or too low? And do you agree with the top 5?
Well, I can answer all of those questions in a couple words here. Dallas Cowboys, too high, in my opinion. They're in the top 5, so top 5 is wrong. I would flop them with the Texans. I would put Texans up there in the top 5 over the Cowboys.
Whoa.
Cowboys are 16 right here.
I said I wouldn't talk more, but I'm not going to say anything.
Well, it depends on what site you're looking at. I'm looking at PFF. So
yeah, this is PFT, Pro Football Talk. Tom, same question.
Too high, according to PFT here that we're looking at. I think it's the Bengals. I think the Bengals at number 8.
Amen.
Burrow coming off multiple injuries last year. Does he have the ability to take a team to the Super Bowl, which he did? Yeah, absolutely. But you have to remember, they lost their best piece on the defensive line in DJ Reader, who now is a Detroit Lion, who will line up next to future Pro Bowler Aleem McNeil. So I think the Buccaneers or the Bengals sitting at number 8 might be a little bit too high. And
what about the Bucs at 9?
Yeah, I agree. I think they're a little too high as well. I think they're looking at the fact that Mike Evans re-signed there, and they do have a pretty good run game, and I guess they're biting on the cornbread of good old Baker Mayfield, his baking skills. But maybe a team that's not getting enough love here. I'm going to go right to your neck of the woods, guys. I think the Titans probably did as good of a job, if not better, than anyone else in the NFL in free agency. They've put together a wide receiver core that is, regardless, is top 5 in my opinion. They've given Will Levis, who is now a porn star, every tool to be successful. I like what they've done. I like what they've done defensively. So they've got them sitting here at 27. I think that might be a little bit too low. And as well as the Browns, I think the Browns at 12, that could be a low pick. I would probably flip-flop the Browns with the Bengals if I'm rewriting this power ranking.
Rob, I think the PFT guys are smoking crack on 2 teams particularly, one being one team ahead of the other, and that's the Denver Broncos being ahead of a number of teams. But including when Aaron Rodgers is healthy, I think the New York Jets and ESPN, I believe, had them in the top 5. Why are they 25th when you look at this roster and defensively? And am I right? Are these guys on crack, or
yeah,
is this appropriate?
So I just got to y'all's website here. So that is asinine. They're at 25.
Well, I'll tell you this. So so the division they're in, right? So it's so competitive. So I've got Miami as the most underrated team on that scale. You have the Bills there, and then so the Jets are what, 3rd best in that division, in my opinion. So
I think I got him above Miami if Rodgers is healthy.
I agree.
100%.
I agree. Signing
Miami lost Miami lost so much on defense.
A lot.
Between injuries from last year and Christian Wilkins going to the Raiders, I think they're going to become Swiss cheese defense, which is going to hurt them.
The Bills that division. So my top 5, this wasn't the question, but outside of the Chiefs are Ravens, Packers, Eagles, Niners, and Bills.
Ooh.
Why do you say the
no
Eagles?
Lions love?
Whew. Yeah, wait.
Keep hating.
He got the Packers over the Lions?
Keep hating.
I think the Eagles don't belong in that top 5. Tom, don't start with Detroit over them yet. But what is your take on the Eagles? And really, they had an excellent offseason. Is Rob right or am I right?
I don't think the Eagles are worthy of the top 5. I worry about Jalen Hurts. I think he may have been exposed last year. His athleticism kind of was unique 2 years ago when he hit the scene. Defenses figured him out. You're losing arguably the greatest center to ever play the game in Jason Kelce, who was the professor of the brotherly shove. I don't think they're going to be as successful as they were in previous years. And yes, they got Saquon Barkley, who is on paper one of the most talented running backs in the NFL. But let's face it, he's kind of a China doll. He gets injured quite often, and I don't know how durable he can be. That's a rough division that he's going to play in. He's going to play his former team twice, which they're going to be coming for him. So I don't know how much I trust Philadelphia. Their defense is questionable. They lost some key pieces on defense. What
about the acquisition of a former Detroit Lion who was a former Philadelphia Eagle?
No, CJ Gardner-Johnson, no. I mean, there's a reason why the Lions said, see ya, because he kind of didn't do a whole lot for us here, but dance and, get the crowd riled up. But when it came to coverages, he got burned a lot. And maybe that'll change when he goes back to a position where he's familiar with, but I don't have faith in him. And the Eagle defense was exposed, specifically the secondary last year. And it's why they kind of took a turn in the wrong direction. So I love you, Robbie, but I don't agree that they're in the top 5.
It's a base 3-4, and I think a lot of the optimism is from the linebackers with Huff, Nakobe Dean, Nolan Smith Jr. Did they all go to Georgia? And then signing Devin White, who didn't play in every game, but he was arguably the best linebacker in the league for multiple years from Tampa. Rob, tell me why the Eagles. Well, first tell me about the Jets. I think they're going to win the division if they're healthy. I think they could contend for the AFC if they're healthy. Am I crazy?
Yeah, I don't think you're crazy, but I think it's so competitive with the Bills and the Dolphins. I think those and you have the Texans, the Colts, the Ravens, the Bengals, and then the Chiefs, Raiders, Chargers. It's just so competitive. I don't know if you can. I don't think they're good enough to win the division. And I'm not sure you can bet on the wild card in the AFC. And so I don't think the Jets are that good. And Rodgers coming off an Achilles injury, who knows what he's going to look like? Whenever you brag you're this good, I don't trust it.
Quickly,
can you trust Robert Saleh? He's failed everything he's done as the head coach of the Jets. Hey, he's a Dearborn kid. He's grew up right down the road from where I'm at right now. Love the guy. He's not an NFL head coach. And you look at Aaron Rodgers, who is completely reneged on everything he said in the offseason. It's all football. Anything else is bullshit. So his first opportunity to live up to those words in a mandatory minicamp, he's MIA because he's out in an ayahuasca retreat, which, who knows what's going on with him. He's going to end up with brain worms, but that's a whole nother story. So I think there's a lot of pressure on the Jets. I don't trust them. I don't believe in them. I don't think they'll win that division.
Rob, quick cross on Tom's assertion of the Eagles defense. You give credence to what he said?
A little. I mean, it's gonna be tough, but look, I mean, it's an offensive game, right? So I mean, like offense is always gonna out penalize defense, and so it's built for offense. So the better the quarterback you have, then the more opportunities you're gonna have.
I think Chain, coming down to, I'm biased to Caleb Williams, obviously. I know you and others aren't as big of a fan at times. The Bears at 17, a team that just completely revamped their offense and already had a good defense. I think the Bears are going to be better, especially in that division. Am I right? Or is this exactly where they should be?
Oh, they'll definitely be better. I mean, you can't get too much worse.
They have them at 17 here behind the Chargers, Steelers.
Better than 17. I could see them finishing higher than that. We'll see what Caleb Williams does. You know, there's two sides of that coin, and you know we've all read headlines on both. You know, we've seen game film on both where he looks completely incredible, NFL ready on some games, and then some games it's like, how does this kid play for USC? So, you know, we'll see. We'll see where that goes. It's just like any other high-profile prospect coming into the NFL as a quarterback. I mean, maybe 40% of them prevail. So, I mean, we'll see.
Tom, I'm going to ask you before we finish. We're not going to talk about the Raiders. Nobody fucking cares. At least people out here. I do, and some my friends do. Raider Nation does.
Hey,
but
Eastern Michigan just named their football field Max Crosby Field. So hey, that's a good thing for the Raiders.
Named Christian Wilkins, man. But I'm going to ask you to do something difficult, and I'm going to ask you to make the argument why the Detroit Lions would not be in the top 5 of the most talented rosters or teams pre-camp, coming out of pre-camp, or pre-camp rather.
I think this really is an easy answer. It is Jared Goff. Jared Goff does not get the recognition that he should get. He's a top 5 quarterback, no question. His stats speak for themselves. He's just not today's NFL prototypical quarterback. So I think that would be one reason why they keep them out of the top 5. And another would be there's a lot of question marks at the receiver position outside of Amon-Ra. Is Jameson Williams going to be the guy that they drafted in the first round 2 years ago? Is he going to be the replacement for Josh Reynolds? I think you know what you're going to get with Laporta. You know what you're going to get with Amon-Ra. Their running game is solid. You're going to have 2 guys that could potentially go for 1,000 yards this year. But outside of that, there's question marks. Jameson showed his flashing in the NFC Championship game, that first possession where he caught the ball and he just went right up the gut. He was not afraid. If we get that Jameson Williams, I think the Lions are going to be okay. But like I said a couple weeks ago, this is a guy he hasn't started a season week 1 in his 3rd year. This will be the first time. Will he be able to handle that workload? Will he be able to handle that pressure of being kind of the guy? He's going to be the outside guy. He's going to be the Tyreek Hill-esque type of receiver. So is that head on his shoulders worthy of that? So I think the question mark of the receiver room will be probably the biggest reason why I could see somebody not keeping them out of the top 5.
I agree. And aside from that, intangibles, things like the turnover margin and winning close late games and the health of Jared Goff all went in their favor, knock on wood, last year. Mm-hmm. The surprise factor did. The pull for the underdog factor was definitely in effect. I mean, I was one of them. That's a lot of stuff that has to go right. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of the thing that I would say, but you can't really you can't take that to court. And then final transition, we're going to talk about the Tennessee Titans, but the last thing is on the Lions, who's their backup quarterback, Rob or Tom, former University of Tennessee star, is it not?
Yeah, it's right now it's a crapshoot. I think going into camp it'll be
Sudfeld.
Hooker? You think
It'll be
Sudfeld?
Sudfeld. But I do believe you're going to see heavy Hendon Hooker in the preseason. His knee's probably ready to go. He's probably physically ready to go. And I do believe he will play a role in this offense because it's hard to keep him out of it. There was talk that he was going to go into the NFL as a tight end or a receiver. So I'd look for them to kind of plug him into the offense in some way, shape, or form. So
like Peyton Hillis or what's his
the
name?
guy Taysom Hill.
Taysom Hill.
Yeah, possibly. He's an athlete. It's hard to keep an athlete off the football
Brandon, you've
field.
drafted him like 6 times. You should know his name.
Never.
All right, we're ending up tonight with, we've gone a little long, but we've been out for a while. We have a lot to talk about, a lot of stars aligning for this particular group. Let's go to a team, and one of you guys is taking the pro. Rob and Tom, you're both. Rob and Shane, you're both Tennessee Titans fans. Tom said they're going to be one of his teams that he would put much higher. I think they're ass. Who agrees with Tom and who agrees with me? And who's in the middle? Let's go with you, Shane, first, and then Rob, you can take us home.
I don't necessarily disagree with you, but I'm as a fan, I'm hopeful.
Why? Defense, front four.
Well, no, I mean, front four. We definitely made some improvements on the offensive line, and then the receiving core is pretty damn good. Like it's probably top 7 in the NFL right now. So I'm really looking forward to that. And we're banking on Will Levis at this point, right? I mean, he's got a cannon. Can he stay accurate? Can he take the pressure in the pocket? So we'll see.
The OL is an impressive turnaround, at least on
for sure. And that was always our problem the last 2 years. So I'm really looking forward to that. I'm just going to be humble here and say we're probably within 3 spots of where we need to be.
Wow. All right, Rob. Take it home. The Tennessee Titans. Right.
Yeah, imagine spending $600 on a Lego set. And they come in individual boxes, right? And so you're supposed to take one at a time and figure it out. Well, the Titans, they got this $600 Lego set and they cut them all open and they dumped them all out at once. That's what they've done. So we're trying to improve the offensive line. We're trying to make wide receiver. We're trying to improve the quarterback. They don't know what the hell they're doing because they opened up all the boxes at once.
Did they lose the instructions too?
Yeah, the instructions be damned. That's the Tennessee Titans.
All it has is a final picture.
Yeah. They're the Lego people that just didn't follow the instructions from the get-go. And now they're, you know what? Hey, it's okay. We got taxpayers behind us spending $2 billion on a new stadium. We'll be cool. And when you talking about final thoughts on the Grizzlies,
oh no,
America,
there's more.
You can see how the wheels do turn and how the gears work, and it's kind of frightening, kind of hilarious, kind of. I don't want to say brilliant because Shane will reach through and kill me, but Shane knows how your brain works better than anyone, and it just amazes me sometimes. Let's go straight from there. There's not a hell of a lot going on, but we are famous. I have a buddy of mine who always is bet your nuts, and he has a T-shirt that actually is very similar, and we may have to sue him, by the way. But anyways, let's go straight into bet your nuts with whoever's got something. It's got to be fire.
It's time for Bet Your Nuts.
Like I said, it's a really slow week overall. You got whoever's got one, fucking take it home and take us into final words as well. I am done.
I'll go real quick.
Going.
Bet your nuts. Bet your nuts. We're going to go back to golf because I'm a golf nerd, whatever. We're at the Mortgage Classic, a Rocket Mortgage Classic. Ricky
Right
Fowler
here in the
won
D.
last year. Yeah, right in Detroit. Ricky won it last year. He's at plus 315 to finish top 5. He's only 2 back after round 1. Love that bet. That's probably the one I'd put the most money on. And then a little sauce on the side, plus 1,400 to win it for Ricky to go back to back. He's due again. He plays well there. I love it. Throw a little money on that one too.
Wouldn't that be something? There's a guy that I think we all like to see. Who's next? Rob?
Yeah, I'll go. I love how, at least for me, I spend half of my time on this show bashing about things no one watches and how the NFL is the only one that people watch. And then I do my bet your nuts on things no one watches. But I'm going NASCAR again. And so I'm going.
I'm glad you
Chase
see the
Elliott.
irony and everything.
Hey, Chase Elliott's going to win Nashville. Brandon, your neck of the woods. It's so close to you. You better go. I'm thinking about going. So on the theme of things no one watches, I'm going Chase Elliott to win, and also F the Grizzlies.
I think we have derailed appropriately, and I don't think you can end the night better than on a laugh. And I'm going to take final words with that and end it on a laugh unless anybody else.
Hey,
Tom's going to bet your nuts.
Anything else?
I had Chase Elliott winning as well, but I threw in the trifecta with Hendricks Motorsports to be the manufacturer winner and Chevy to be the winner. So hey, you can't have one without the 3. So,
That's right.
But Brandon, is Tony Finau not playing this weekend?
No, I don't believe he is.
I didn't see him on the list, so
Yeah,
I can't
he's
take Tony Finau. But go ahead, take it away to final words.
I honestly, like I was going to say, and if anybody has something that's heavy and weighty, then yeah, let's do it. But otherwise, I feel like this was a night where the stars aligned in so many different ways, and ending it on a laugh was really what I wanted. But any final words? I know we do like to opine. I consider this a fairly intelligent show. I'm going to leave it alone. So anybody take it away and then take us home, close us out. I'm done.
Robbie, you go, but I have a very important final words that I want to close it out with.
Well, go ahead, Tom. I think everyone knows what my final words are. Tom, please take it away.
So you don't want to give them?
But if he's going to say something significant, emotional, weighty, of substance, whereas we are just gonna.
No, I really just hate the Memphis pick so bad.
So you wanted Tom to go first for that. Thank you very much.
No. I was saying Tom. I was gonna say step aside. Let Tom go.
Oh, my bad. Shane, are you opposed to that? All right, Tom, take us home.
All right, fellas, I appreciate that. I came across this tweet on X, whatever we're calling it these days, and it kind of made me think about some things. This is Roy Jones Jr., who arguably was one of the greatest fighters, pound for pound, in the history of boxing, tweeting out that his son took his own life. And it got me thinking, we are still in the month of June, and June is National Men's Suicide Awareness Month. And it had me asking a lot of questions as to why there's so many suicides from men compared to women. Men account for 75 to 80% of all suicides, and that's 4 times higher than females. Wow. Leading cause of death in men under 50. Second leading cause of death in men under the age of 45. In a 2015 study, roughly 9.8 million men inquired about mental help the year prior to them committing suicide. It's baffling to me. And the big question is why? Is it careers? Is it work related? Is it relational? Is it children? Is it finances? Or is it the giant stigma that you're not a real man unless if you go ahead and get mental help? The bottom line that I want to stress tonight, and since it is still June, we haven't gotten out of the month yet. You're more of a man if you reach out and get help. And we live in a society where people care about what other people think about them. And I think that's horrible. I think that's one of the biggest draws why men don't seek the help that they need. I think if you polled men and said, hey, do you think you could use some counseling, some help? I think the general response would be absolutely yes. So the message that I really want to convey tonight is if you need help, reach out. You're not alone. There's somebody that will listen to you. If somebody were to call me and tell me, hey, you know what, I just needed someone to talk to, man, I'd be right there. And I could attest for the other three guys on this panel, they would do the same thing. And I know there's somebody out there that would be that person for anyone if they needed help. So basically, if you need help, pick up the phone and dial 988. It's a new way that automatically connects you to the suicide and crisis hotline. Real easy to remember. It's, similar to 911, 988. It's probably the most important three numbers as a man. And if you feel like your world is going up against you, the walls are closing in, man, there's somebody out there that can help you. There's somebody out there that'll talk you off the bridge, so to speak. I know that sounds terrible, but that's the reality. We as a male base, we're failing. And if the alternative is to take your own life, we're in trouble. And I think we need to kind of stress that message that asking for help it's there's nothing wrong with that, because it's the difference between life and death. And again, if anybody out there needs help, dial 988. It's going to connect you to that hotline 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. It could save your life, and not getting help is the wrong thing to do. So if you need help, dial 988, and man, it's the right thing to do. So let's as males in society, let's spread that message. Let's spread that positivity. We had a night, we've talked just negative, not us, but there's just so much negativity in the world. And I think that weighs in a lot of people. And so some positive messages, some uplifting messages is something that I think we can all learn from as a society. So 988, hit that number. It'll be the best thing that you could ever do.
Bravo.
Way to go, Tom.
Well said. For myself, for Brandon Chain, for Robbie Davis, and Tom Sloan, this is Reckless Speculation. Have a great night and a great rest of the week.
See you guys.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Reckless Speculation. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube, searching Reckless Speculation. Catch us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. We look forward to catching you right here next week with another exciting episode of